How your brain tricks you into intellectual isolation. Here's something nobody tells you. The most dangerous people in your life aren't your enemies. They're the ones who nod along to everything you say. They smile, they validate, they make you feel smart and understood. And while you're basking in that warm glow of agreement, your mind is quietly rotting away. Think about it. When was the last time someone close to you said, "I think you're wrong about that"? Not in a fight, but calmly, genuinely challenging your perspective. Can't remember? That's your first red flag. Because if everyone around you constantly agrees, you're not surrounded by truth tellers. You're surrounded by mirrors. Your brain has a dirty little secret. It's not designed to seek truth. It's designed to seek tribal acceptance. Research from MIT found that our neural pathways literally light up with pleasure when we receive social validation, creating the same dopamine response as food or sex. Your mind is essentially addicted to people saying, "You're right." The comfort of consensus is a trap. It feels like safety, like you've found your people. But what you've actually found is an echo chamber where your worst ideas get amplified and your best instincts get dulled. Every exactly and so true is another brick in the wall of your mental prison. Look around your life right now. Your friends, your social feeds, your favorite podcasts. How many actually push back on your beliefs? How many make you uncomfortable? Because discomfort is where growth lives. Agreement is where growth goes to die. Here's the brutal reality. People who challenge you are doing you a favor. The ones who disagree, who poke holes in your logic, who refuse to just go along. These are the people keeping you sharp. Everyone else is just helping you fall asleep at the wheel. The scariest part? You probably think you're different, that you're open-minded, that you actively seek different perspectives. But your actions tell a different story. You follow people who think like you. You share content that confirms what you already believe. You dismiss opposing views as ignorant. You've built a fortress of agreement and called it wisdom. Question this. What belief are you most certain about right now? The one you defend without hesitation? Now, ask yourself when you last seriously examined the opposing argument. Not to tear it down, to actually understand it. If you haven't, you don't have a belief. You have a religion. The hidden cost of surrounding yourself with yes people. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. You join a community. Maybe it's online. Maybe it's a friend group. Everyone shares your values, your politics, your worldview. It feels incredible at first. Finally, people who get you. But here's what's actually happening. You're not connecting. You're synchronizing your biases. And it gets worse. A Harvard study revealed something disturbing about group dynamics. When people with similar views gather, they don't maintain their positions. They radicalize. The group average shifts toward the extreme. It's called group polarization, and it happens without anyone noticing. You walk in moderate, you walk out militant, and you think it's growth. Your homogeneous circle isn't making you smarter. It's making you dumber and more confident about it. That's the dangerous combination. Wrong and certain. Because when 10 people tell you the same wrong thing, your brain interprets that as evidence. Volume becomes truth. Repetition becomes fact. And you stop questioning entirely. Check your last week of conversations. How many times did someone agree with you versus challenge you? If agreement outweighs disagreement, 10 to 1, you're not in a community. You're in a cult. And the doctrine you're following is your own unchecked assumptions. Now validated and amplified by people just as trapped as you are. Here's what nobody wants to admit. We don't choose diverse perspectives because we actually want them. We say we do. We claim to value different viewpoints. But watch what happens when someone truly disagrees with you. You get defensive. You rationalize. You attack their character or their intelligence. You do everything except genuinely consider they might have a point. The psychology is simple. Your ego is fragile, and it's especially fragile around your core beliefs because you've tied them to your identity. So when someone challenges those beliefs, your brain treats it as a survival threat. Fight or flight kicks in, and you fight, not for truth, for self-preservation, for the comfort of staying exactly who you've always been. Those people who flatter you, who never push back, who always take your side, They're not helping you. They're accomplices in your intellectual stagnation, and you reward them with friendship, with loyalty, with trust, while the people who could actually help you grow get labeled as difficult, negative, or toxic. Examine who in your life challenges you the most, and be honest. How do you typically respond to them? With curiosity or defensiveness? Why disagreement might be your only path to reality. Now comes the uncomfortable truth. It's not just about finding people who think differently. It's about what you do when they show up. And here's what probably happens. You avoid them. You argue with them. You write them off as closed-minded or problematic. Then you retreat back to your safe space and call it self-care. But what if that's just cowardice dressed up as boundaries? Let's be clear about something. You don't actually want truth. You want validation. Your entire social structure is built around maintaining comfort, not discovering reality. You curate feeds that confirm your worldview. You mute accounts that disturb your peace. You surround yourself with people who make you feel good about who you already are. That's not growth. That's sedation. Research from Columbia University uncovered something fascinating about human cognition. When presented with facts that contradict deeply held beliefs, people don't change their minds. They double down. It's called the backfire effect. The harder you push evidence, the harder they resist. It's irrational, but it's universal. Which means you're doing it too right now, with something. So what's the solution? Start with yourself. Actively hunt for the flaws in your own thinking before anyone else has to point them out. Treat your strongest convictions as hypotheses, not gospel. Question the things your tribe applauds you for believing. Because if you only examine beliefs that don't matter to you, you're not really doing the work. Here's a brutal exercise. Take your most fundamental belief, the one that defines who you are. Now argue against it. Seriously. Build the strongest possible case for why you're wrong. Find the contradictions, the weak points, the assumptions you never question. If you can't do this, you don't actually understand your own position. You're just repeating what you've been told. The goal isn't to abandon all convictions. It's to hold them lightly enough that they can evolve when reality demands it. To have the courage to say, "I was wrong," without feeling like you're losing yourself. To recognize that being certain and being correct are not the same thing. Look around again. Not for allies, for antagonists. The people who irritate you, who disagree, who won't let you get away with lazy thinking. Those people are worth more than 1,000 cheerleaders. They show you your blind spots. And blind spots are where the real danger hides. Transform. Identify someone who usually disagrees with you. This week, genuinely try to understand their perspective. Not to win them over. To expand what you think is possible. How to rewire your mind to embrace productive conflict. We've reached the final point. And here it is. Real evolution requires deliberate discomfort. Not suffering for its own sake, but strategic exposure to ideas that threaten your current understanding. Because growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in friction. And most people spend their entire lives avoiding the exact friction they need most. Think of your mind as a blade. Agreement is rest. Disagreement is the whetstone. You don't sharpen a blade by leaving it alone. You sharpen it through controlled conflict, through pressure and resistance. But we've been conditioned to treat disagreement as violence and agreement as virtue. We've got it completely backwards. A Princeton study on innovation found that teams with high cognitive diversity outperform homogeneous teams by nearly 70%. Know why? Because diverse teams argue more. They challenge assumptions. They create friction that burns away bad ideas and forges better ones. Harmony feels good, but it rarely produces anything new. Here's your action plan. First, monthly. Deliberately expose yourself to content that challenges your core beliefs. Read authors you typically dismiss. Listen to podcasts from the other side. Have coffee with someone whose views you find disturbing. Not to convert them or yourself, but to stress test whether your beliefs can survive contact with reality. Second, build a personal board of contrarians. 3 to 5 people who fundamentally disagree with you on important issues. Consult them before major decisions. Not because they're right, but because they see what you can't. And that insight is more valuable than being comfortable in your wrongness. Third, Practice arguing against yourself daily. Pick a belief and dismantle it. Find every flaw, every inconsistency, every unexamined assumption. Do it better than any critic could, because if your ideas can't survive your own scrutiny, they don't deserve to exist. Finally, separate your ideas from your identity. You are not your opinions. You are the consciousness observing them. When you understand this, changing your mind stops being a threat and becomes freedom. You lose nothing. You just trade broken tools for better ones. The illusion is thinking you need to be right. You don't. You just need to be willing to evolve. And evolution requires killing old versions of yourself, including the beliefs that feel most comfortable. Act. What's the belief you defend most online? Have you actually examined it or just inherited it from your environment? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video made you uncomfortable, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to wake up.